Thanks, Scott. That was a great intro. It's a deep honor to be here. Beacon actually means a lot to me, and I might be breaking the rules a bit. My fiance and I just drove up from Dumbo in Brooklyn, and I come here often because of the DIA. And I don't know, is Susan still in the room? Susan, what you guys do at the DIA is, for me, it's almost spiritual, what's there. I cry every time I go there, and I just want to thank you again, maybe like a quick round of applause for all that you guys do. It's really powerful. So I'm going to talk about creating a culture of celebration. And how many of you guys have participated in a celebration? Maybe like raise your hands. Okay, so probably all of you, right? I want to dissect a little bit about what that means, about how we can use celebration to revitalize our lives, our work, our community, and expand maybe the definition of what a celebration is. My story starts back in 1979. So the woman on the right there, my right, your left, that's my mom, and she's a Methodist minister. She's an ordained minister with a church in Sacramento, California, and the gentleman on the other side is my father. He's born and raised in Ghana. He's back there now. He runs a water company there in Ghana. The little yellow kind of hairy blob in the middle, that was me. Going between their two cultures, they're two very different cultures, taught me a lot about communication, how people communicate. It taught me a lot about how culture affects communication, and it taught me a lot about how culture affects celebration. So from that little yellow blob, I grew up a bit and moved to New York City in about 1999, actually 98. And I got really inspired by the protest movement that was happening in New York City at the time. And especially this group called Reclaim the Streets that had this new idea of what protests could be. It was about creating something that was enticing, that was exciting, that was beautiful, that was musical, that was a celebration. So instead of like the old traditional view of protests where you go out there and you scream at people about what's wrong with the world, we wanted to create something that was engaging, that invited people into the streets, into our movement, and got people excited about what we were advocating for. We wanted to build in a celebratory way the world that we wanted to see. So this photo is an example of one of those events. We have like marching bands, we have clearly a fire breather person. This was all to raise awareness around saving the gardens in the East Village, and we had beautiful pamphlets that we handed out to all the people on the street explaining what our cause was and why it was. And we found, because there's this big celebration that we were creating, you know, this is all illegal, we took over the streets, this is direct action. But because we had this like really beautiful way of displaying what we were advocating for, people were really into picking up the literature, and it ended up being a big part of what grew the Gardens of Movement and saved dozens of community gardens. And that little guy at the top there, that's actually me at age 19, about 35 minutes away from getting my first arrest. So I was involved in the protest movement for a lot of years, all the way up to my current years now, but 2004, you guys might remember, was a really challenging political year. You guys remember 2004? That was a hard one. A lot of us in New York City, our whole activist community was disenfranchised, to say it mildly. And I wanted to create a way to re-inspire our community activists to get back into the streets, to create something beautiful, and to use all the tools that we had learned through these street party protests, but to do it purely for the sake of celebration. So I got about 120 artist friends together, and we inspired about 4,000 people to join us, and recreated an event called One Night of Fire, which was in all the same aspects of what we had done with the street protests. It was the same thing. We had march bands, we had performers, we were taking over the streets. It was all non-permissive. We broke pretty much every law we possibly could about gathering people in New York City. And it was all about just celebrating the culture of New York City itself, celebrating each other, celebrating our community, inspiring each other to get back into the streets and to be energized. You know, this is post 9/11. New York City was hard, the wars were going on, We wanted a reason to just like get out there and get energized and take a chance again and to re-inspire our political action that was going to continue after this. So the whole event ended in this big fire festival thing. And right as this was happening, I was standing next to the head of Brooklyn South, the like head chief police guy of the whole Brooklyn South. He's kind of a big deal, and I was really scared, and I was like, I'm going to be arrested again for sure. Because we had 70 fire performers on the beach performing this massive fire thing. I was trying to distract him, like, don't look at the fire, just kind of talk to me. It didn't work, but he was amazed. He was like, what are you guys here for? Like, what are you protesting? And I said, we aren't protesting anything, we're celebrating. We're celebrating New York City. And I guess he liked that answer because when we had those old school protests where we were going down the street with like 50 people and like yelling at people about what was wrong, we would have about 15 of us arrested and thrown to jail. At this event, we had 4,000 people. We broke just about every rule we could. He informed me specifically that we broke the parade laws, the amplified music laws, the public nudity laws. We broke a lot of laws, and we had 0 arrests because it was celebrated. Now from there, I grew up a bit. I wanted to see, I've always been this like, shy kid. And I've always been amazed that a shy kid in California could inspire people to take on such risk and such action. I wanted to see about how we could bring that type of energy global. So recently I formed a company called C.Me. Got some investors, and what we provide is a platform for artists all around the world to share and celebrate what they create and what they're passionate about. So it's artists and photographers and musicians and fashion designers, and they all go on there. It's kind of a big social network for them to connect and celebrate. And artists in Sao Paulo can connect with a photographer from San Francisco, can connect with a sculptor from Shanghai, a lot of S's there. And they all celebrate each other, and they're all like really interacting online. So we launched just a few months ago, and we now have, again, I'm just like a shy kid from California. I don't know how this stuff happens, but we've grown to 700,000 members worldwide. We launched in November. The online part, as awesome as that is, because online can get really big really fast, I was very specific about building a culture of celebration into the very infrastructure of our organization. So this photo is our office. It doesn't look like an office, but it actually is our office. We have an exhibition space in the gallery built into our office. So every day, we're with the art that our members create. Every month, we host an event where we celebrate them. And it's all about having a dialogue in real life. We're an internet company, but we want to get in real life with the artists that we celebrate. And my investors who gave us money to try to build this thing were like, focus on the internet, do the internet thing. And I was like, well, I think it's really important to connect directly with people. And slowly, as we built success, they've come around and they see my point of view. And they've allowed us to take on projects such as what we call Art Takes Times Square. This is something we do every year, where we've gotten permission to take over the largest video billboards in Times Square, those big ones that show all the crazy ads for Coca-Cola and other things, ads of stuff. And we replace those for a time with art, all of them. So this is the American Eagle sign. That's like I don't know if you guys have been to Times Square. It's one of the largest signs in Times Square. And it's pretty incredible to see art on these signs in Times Square. The tourists stop, they look, they wonder, and it feels really special. We have this ability to take this global network, to bring them into very real-world places, and to show them in ways and really celebrate them in spectacular ways that they couldn't otherwise. This is bigger than a gallery. This is bigger than a lot of things. This is Times Square. And we're doing this again on Monday, and coincidentally enough, Amanda Palmer is going to join us for this event. So this is like the panorama view of all the people there celebrating with us. And this is really, so it's about a celebration on the street, like bringing people together on the street in real life. So that's enough about me. That's my background. That's stuff that I've done. It's been very fun, exciting. I'm still the shy kid, but somehow these big things keep happening. I want to talk a little bit about you guys. All right. this might be breaking the rules again, but I want you right now to think about a time where you have been celebrated. Like imagine in your mind right now, a time you've been celebrated. Or a time that you've been a part of a great celebration. It could be the smallest thing or the largest thing. Think about what that is. And while I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it, I'm going to read the definition of celebration out of the dictionary. So celebration is the action of marking one's pleasure at an important event or occasion by engaging in enjoyable, typically social activity. So do you guys all have a thought? So I want you all to stand up right now, for real, and turn to somebody next to you, preferably somebody you don't know, and in very few words, I want you to describe what that celebratory moment was. Very few words. Hopefully the people at home are also doing this. Okay, so we can talk about celebration a lot. I can tell you guys are really excited about your celebratory moment.
I want it louder, I'll do this.
This is great. So take 2 more seconds and then let's quiet down. I'm gonna dissect this for you guys a little bit. So take 1 more second to close out. Half a second. You're finishing your conversation. This is very powerful. Thank you very much for taking part in the next round. So what I kind of wanted to do there, you guys want to notice, is I want to inject a little celebration even into this talk. Right? So those moments that you just relived through your memories, through that conversation, your life, your work, your love, and especially your community deserves to be filled with those moments all the time. So let's talk about how to do that. There's a wide spectrum of celebration, right? So there's everything from as small as complimenting a stranger on something they wore. Let's, a fictional example, you see a woman walking down the street and she has a really beautiful, colorful jacket on. And you say, hey, that is a beautiful, colorful jacket you're wearing. That moment, you just celebrated a stranger. There's this amazing, I'm trying to get his name right, Alex Lickerman, a Buddhist doctor who, while he was in medical school, did an experiment where he smiled at somebody, a stranger, every day for 7 years. He wrote a book about it. It's pretty incredible. It changed not only his life, but the lives of the people around him. His coffee shop, from being like kind of a grumpy, like, I'm pouring coffee and here you go, it changed slowly into a place where people were infectiously smiling at each other. Doing small acts of celebration, whether it's smiling at someone or complimenting or doing something more grand, these are contagious acts, and they can really transform work and community. Before we get to the community part, because that's really the heart of what I want to talk about, I want to talk about some things I feel are really crucial to what a celebration is. Right? It's about giving of yourself freely. There's a certain level of selflessness that's required to make celebration really powerful. Right? And there's also a level of the unexpected, of a little bit of a surprise of what comes out of it and what comes in. And you know a celebration is successful when everybody comes out of the experience feeling better than how they came in. And it's really that simple. So how do you create a culture of celebration? I'm going to go back to my history a little bit. So my mom's a Methodist minister, as I mentioned, and her first church was in the Castro district in San Francisco. Does anybody know the Castro? So the Castro district in the early 90s was an incredible mecca for LGBT people to have a home, to have a community. A lot of people were leaving their homophobic hometowns and coming to the Castro and really finding a community. And every day was a celebration. It was a celebration of each other, their love, their community. And I kind of came of age there. I was 12 years old at the time, and it was just incredibly inspiring to see that culture of celebration happening every day, and changing the politics of a city, and changing the culture of a neighborhood, and changing the economics of a neighborhood, to the point where the Castro economically now doesn't really reflect what it was in the 90s, but is still a culture of celebration. On the opposite side of the planet, my father in Ghana, the culture there, it's a tropical country. Celebration just all the time. The music is loud, conversations are boisterous, people stop in to visit all the time, almost at the loss of work. But the culture of celebration there is just in the fabric of life. So I was been inspired by that and how we can use that to revitalize actual community, to create economic impact. So how do we celebrate community? I understand Beacon has had a pretty successful art walk every couple weeks, or every month, second Saturdays. This is a picture from the Wynwood district in Miami, where I work a lot doing shows. 8 years ago, the Wynwood district was a blight. It was empty warehouses, it was crack cocaine, it was a lot of crime. The highest crime district in all of Miami, which is saying a lot. And slowly, artists started moving in and taking over the empty buildings, and then galleries started moving in, and then restaurants started moving in, and that was great. But the neighborhood didn't really come alive until I started this second Saturday's art walk thing, a lot like what you guys do here. And then it exploded. People from all around Miami came in and they started experiencing Wynwood as a celebratory, beautiful place. They started investing, and then more galleries opened up, and then more restaurants opened up, and then more people came in, and then families started coming in. And since then, 70 galleries have been built, and over $1 billion in investment has gone into this neighborhood since it started in 2006. A more incredible example is what's happened in Oakland with the art walk there. So it started in the same way. It was a gallery walk, and it turned into what is now the largest, most significant art event in the entirety of the West Coast. Every month, first Fridays, it's called the Art Murmur, between 20 and 25,000 people in Oakland go and celebrate each other, life, everything. I mean, there's lowriders to artists to galleries, and it's way beyond the art notes. It's really a party celebrating Oakland, and it has an international influence. Right? Do you guys remember MC Hammer in '88? That was the last time Oakland had a major export of culture. And not to just Oakland, but it really, and now they have this, right? And now they have this. You can't see this picture very well, but there's thousands of people here in Oakland celebrating their city, and it's rejuvenated the entire community and the economy. Celebrate your mother. There's smaller ways that we can do this, where every day you can create a little celebration. So for me, I like to send my mother flowers. Not for her birthday, I do for her birthday, but not just for her birthday, but for non-days, right? Days she's not expecting anything. And this has two effects. One, she immediately thinks something is horribly, horribly wrong. But once I get her on the phone, I'm like, Mom, I just was thinking about you today. I sent you some flowers. I really want to celebrate what you've done. You've sacrificed a lot for me. I just want to say thank you. And that's when the second thing happens. She starts to cry. We can do this all the time. It's really simple. Celebrate the love of your life. If you're here with you, like my fiance, Elise, I'm going to be celebrating her for hopefully the rest of our lives. Celebrate the love of your life every day with small acts like that. I want to close with a small challenge. I think I just have just enough time. I want you to think right now of a celebration that you can create. It could be the smallest thing, like complimenting a stranger, or a large thing, like giving flowers to your mom. Maybe that's a medium-sized thing. Or a really grand thing. But think right now, for real, a celebration that you can create in the next 7 days.
I have one right now. Hooray for Scott and the organizers.
I want everyone to think like that. I want everyone to think right now, what's a celebration you can create? You have an opportunity tonight to do it. So think of that celebration you can create. I want you to hold that with you. And within the next 7 days, I want you to go out there and make that celebration happen. And then 7 days after that, I want you to make it happen again. And then 7 days after that, I want you to make it happen again. And after that, again. And after that, again. I want you to make this a part of your life. Every single one of you has the opportunity right now, starting today, starting this evening, to create a culture of celebration that can inspire a community, can inspire you, and it can change the world. Thank you.